Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is right here, everyone. Thank you for joining me for a little bit of SPTV on this fine Tuesday afternoon. Guys, every time a white man born in 1911 starts talking about the blacks, you know things are about to get a little spicy up in here. I have got to thank Joey Chait for reminding me of this article that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. You guys can find Joey Chait on Instagram. He's recently relaunched his Instagram and really dedicated it to Scientology content. I've talked to Joey on my channel a few times before. We'll talk a bunch more times in the future. But check him out over here on Instagram. He put up this post. Guys, I had totally forgotten that this was a thing in Scientology. And I want to share this to you, okay? So Joey goes, well, his caption is, "This is a plaque that sits on the reception desk at the Church of Scientology in Inglewood, California, a city with a large population of people of color. As if this wasn't already a disgusting, patronizing, racist essay written by L. Ron Hubbard, he originally used the N-word in place of what is now written as quote unquote black people. If anyone ever tells you that Scientology isn't a racist organization, show them this, written in the founder's own words." Now, I'm going to read you this essay. Now, for the sake of complete lack of ambiguity, I believe that when Joey says that the original essay contained the N-word, I believe it was the version of the N-word that begins with knee, like knee on your leg, part of your body, and ends with grow, like every young boy and girl will grow into a full-grown person eventually. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the other N-word, but if I'm wrong about that, someone correct me and I will correct the record. Okay, here is, we're just going to read this and then we're going to talk about it because there is so much to talk about here. Okay. And I remember this was an essay, like it's not just something that was created for this plaque. This was a thing that we read in Scientology. It was a message from L. Ron Hubbard, a message for black people, completely aside from what it means to the whites. I've got the whites. Okay. Completely aside from what it means to the whites, Scientology offers to the black people of America a wonderful chance. The world's primary study of the mind has a long and excellent record of success across the world in improving the opportunities of man. Now, guys, you would be excused for being terribly confused here. When he says the world's primary study of the mind, L. Ron Hubbard is in fact talking about Dianetics and Scientology when he says that phrase, the world's primary study of the mind. Okay. Not psychiatry, not psychology, not anthropology or whatever, Dianetics and Scientology. Okay. The world's primary study of the mind has a long and excellent record of success across the world in improving the opportunities of man. If Scientology were to be used by the black people of America, the gains for which they have striven so hard in the social world would be guaranteed. Sorry, clicked the wrong button there. Okay. Scientology can increase intelligence, improve personality, and bring personal power and alertness to any person to whom it is applied. It may seem at first a difficult subject. I wonder why he's saying that. It may seem at first a difficult subject, but it is not. It is far easier than common school subjects. Many black people have already studied it to professional level. The gates of Scientology are wide open to black people. A professional Scientologist has more social standing and ability to help than any other professional field. Guys, do you remember when Tom Cruise said that when you're driving by an accident as a Scientologist, it's not like anyone else because you know you're the only one who can really help? And you might have thought to yourself, what in God's name is crazy Lil Tommy Cruise talking about? He's talking about this sentiment reflected by L. Ron Hubbard here. A professional Scientologist has more social standing and ability to help than any other professional field. You might go, can you explain that? Nope. L. Ron Hubbard just thought that if you had the knowledge and technology of Scientology, it was superior to anything else in the physical universe, anything else in the humanities and the social sciences and the medical field and everything. There's not really anything more to explain to it other than that. It goes on. If Black people, even on a part-time basis, studied it and used it upon other Black people, if Black centers were to be set up in America for Black people, that sounds a little funny. Why would you want to segregate the centers? I don't know, but L. Ron Hubbard wants the Black people to know that it would be a good idea. If Black centers were to be set up in America for Black people, the standard of ability, social activity, and intelligence would be increased far beyond any future possible loss? Let me read that again, guys. If Black centers were to be set up in America for Black people, the standard of ability, social activity, and intelligence would be increased far beyond any future possible loss. I got to be honest, I don't know what that refers to or what that means. Look into Scientology and use it to help your own people. Let them truly walk in the sun and take their place amongst the most brilliant people of Earth. A what? Okay. Now, Joey pointed out that this plaque sits at the reception desk of the Scientology organization in Inglewood, California. I can promise you it's also sitting at the desk at the reception center at the Scientology organization in Harlem, New York. And this is something that I wanted to mention, because you want to talk about just racism. Isaac Hayes, when he was still alive, was a Scientologist. And he went to David Miscavige and he complained or asked, why aren't there more Black people in Scientology? It's weird. We need more Black people in Scientology. Now, let me know in the live chat, guys. Is it racist or is it not? That in response to Isaac Hayes' request to figure out how to get more Black people into Scientology, Miscavige apparently went, I know where they keep the Blacks. Inglewood and Harlem. Let's just put new Scientology organizations in Inglewood and Harlem, and we'll get more Black people into Scientology. Guys, at the time Isaac Hayes approached David Miscavige with his concerns that there weren't enough Black people in Scientology, there were already Scientology organizations in the top 10 Blackest U.S. cities in America. And I'm looking, I don't have it screen shared here because I've got it on the wrong screen. I'm looking at an article here from Pew Research, and I'm looking at a graphic here that says rank by population, and then it cities, and it gives how large the Black population is by number and by percent. In other words, which major U.S. cities have the largest proportion of its population are Black people. Here's the top 10. 1, New York City. There's a Church of Scientology in New York City. Atlanta. There's a Church of Scientology in Atlanta. Washington, D.C. There's a Scientology org in D.C. Chicago, Philadelphia, Dallas, Miami, Houston, Detroit, Los Angeles. Guys, there are churches of Scientology organizations in every single one of the 10 most Blackest U.S. cities. And when Miscavige is approached with, hey, we got a problem here. We're like the whitest organization in the country, and it's weird. Instead of going, let's think deeply about what it is about either our organization or our culture or our philosophy or our tenets that seem to either exclude or turn away black people. Let's figure out how we might be able to change this. He goes, I know, Harlem and Inglewood. To me, it is so insane. And to me, it's so insane that any of the black people in Scientology didn't point that out to David Miscavige or Scientology management. I'll tell you who Scientologists think are the leading black Scientologists. Okay. It used to be Isaac Hayes. There's an actor named Michael Roberts. He played Vern in Rain Man, my main man, Vern. Michael Roberts, Michael Richards is the guy from Seinfeld, right? I think Michael Roberts is a and you go, well, he's just an actor. Yeah. He's a major Scientology fundraiser, and he's one of the most famous black people in Scientology. So Scientologists think of him as one of the leading black Scientologists. Reverend Alfredi Johnson, a black Baptist minister who's no longer Baptist, but he pretends to be, so he can be one of Scientology's interfaith people. He is a prominent member of the Scientology community, and he's black. Tony Muhammad of the Nation of Islam is now considered one of the leading black members of Scientology. And Doug E. Fresh, the rapper, the hip hop artist, he invented the beatbox. Doug E. Fresh is someone Scientology prances around as, look, we have a famous black person. None of these black people in the Scientology community, who Scientologists consider to be among their leading members, ever went to Miscavige and is like, sir, the solution for getting more black people into Scientology isn't going to Harlem and Inglewood. There's black people in a lot of other places in the United States. I don't know if you are aware. Atlanta, Philly, Detroit, DC. You walk into those organizations, it's just white from wall to wall. And then, of course, you have Louis Farrakhan himself, which is one of the craziest things I have ever heard. And I want to show you guys real quick. This is an article from way back in 2006. Now, 2006 is shortly after I first became aware of this Louis Farrakhan thing. I was still in the Sea Organization. I was in the Sea Organelle from 2002 to 2006. And it was sometime late 2005, early 2006. Oh, wow, look, this article is early 2006. That Scientology started giving Louis Farrakhan awards. Now, Louis Farrakhan is one of the most racist, anti-white, anti-Jewish people in the country. There are an awful lot of Jewish Scientologists. And when I was still working in LA, I had a particular job, not even worth describing it right now. But part of my job was interviewing people who were getting ready to go on to their advanced Scientology levels, the OT levels. And people started to mention to me that they were very, very worried at the direction Scientology management was signaling it was going in by giving awards to a notorious anti-Semite like Louis Farrakhan. That maybe Scientology was getting so desperate for new members that they were just going to basically try to clout chase on other organizations, not understanding how bad that would be for Scientology. Now, it's funny because I know people are going, Jewish Scientologists, how's that a thing? I get this question all the time. You'll hear Scientologists talk about celebrating Christmas and like, how can you celebrate Christmas? Guys, it's easy. You get a Christmas tree and you buy presents. I mean, even agnostic and atheist people celebrate Christmas because it's become a commercialized holiday. I understand that might be offensive to religious folks, but let's be honest. In Scientology, you can divide it up into two groups: those who celebrate Christmas and those who celebrate Hanukkah. And neither of which require believing in Jesus or Moses. I always get it wrong. I know Moses is to the Jewish people. Is Moses a prophet? He's not, right? He's not. See, I'm so uninformed on this subject. I know you don't. Okay. To be a Scientologist and call yourself Jewish just means you were raised in a Jewish family. It doesn't mean you believe in anything. And to be a Scientologist and celebrate Christmas, you don't believe in God or Jesus. You just believe in presents and a turkey dinner or something like that. And so, yeah, there also are a lot of Scientologists who are Israeli. Like So when I say Jewish, I don't just mean like American raised culturally Jewish. I mean, there's a lot of actual Israeli Scientologists, and these people, you know, they identify as Jewish. And yeah, I was just answering that question. I don't think I was in the middle of a thought, right? I just wanted to answer that question about how can there be Jewish Scientologists? Yes, it has nothing to do with belief. It just has to do with how you were raised. Okay, so back to this article here. Scientology awards reach out to the Black community. This evening's black tie celebration of Black History Month at the Fort Harrison Hotel is a clear signal Scientologists are forging fruitful relationships with persuasive voices in some of the nation's Black communities. Among the 4 Black clergy to be honored at Scientology's annual Ebony Awakening Awards ceremony is Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. Oh, look, it mentions again Baptist pastor Alfredi Johnson. See, what's interesting is they only identify him as a Baptist pastor. They don't actually identify him as a Scientologist, which is what he was. And Alfredi Johnson is the one who introduced Tony Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan to Scientology. Look, it even mentions Tony Muhammad. Must have missed him earlier. Oh, here we go. Farrakhan is convalescing after extensive touring for last October's Millions More Movement March, but Western Regional Minister Tony Muhammad will accept on his behalf. Did you guys know Tony Muhammad, the Western Regional leader for the Nation of Islam, was given the highest Scientology honor that can be bestowed to a Scientologist, the IAS Freedom Medal. It is this same medal that Tom Cruise was given, but Tom Cruise was given a special version of it called the IAS Freedom Medal of Valor, which is why it was so big, like a dinner plate. And actually, there's something I wanted to call attention to here, because Tony Muhammad mentioned something in here about not having to basically endorse all of Scientology's beliefs in order to use their very effective drug rehab program. Okay, so here we go. Johnson, that's Alfredi Johnson. Johnson said he met with Farrakhan to explain Hubbard's ideas on the barriers to learning and his philosophies on drug treatment. Who am I to bring this white man, Hubbard, to the Nation of Islam? Johnson said. But Minister Farrakhan is not a racist or a hater like he's been characterized. Tony Muhammad, who was called in recently to help quell California's prison riots, said Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam are open to any ideas or programs that will help African Americans. Quote, I found some validity in some of the L. Ron Hubbard work. They have one of the best drug rehabilitation programs in the country. Pure propaganda, not true at all. It's not necessary that the Nation of Islam and Scientology agree on methodology or ideology. So that's what I wanted to highlight for you. It is not necessary that the Nation of Islam and Scientology agree on methodology or ideology. We like the drug treatment program, and we at least want to collaborate on that. Tony Muhammad himself is one of the members of the Nation of Islam who has gone whole hog and jumped in with both feet into the Scientology philosophy and ideology. He did his OT levels. He's finished OT 3. He learned about Xenu and the body thetans. Tony Muhammad is more of a Scientologist than 80% of the Scientologists who call themselves Scientologists. But you can see back here in 2006, he was still being real cute about it. It's not necessary that the Nation of Islam and Scientology agree on methodology or ideology. We just like the drug treatment program. And yeah, I feel like this is also one of the best opportunities to introduce all of you to an extremely funny Eric Andre skit called El Ron Hoyabembe. And I think this is a joke about some of those, I don't even know what to call these organizations, but hold on, let me pull this up. This is Comedy Gold, you guys. Check this out.
Not a lot of people know this, but L. Ron Hubbard was a black man.
Truth.
His real name was L. Ron Hoyabembe. Who do we want?
Xenu.
When do we want him?
10 trillion years. Battlefield Earth should have been a Tyler Perry movie.
That's right.
Gotta love L. Ron Hoyabembe. I'll put a link to that whole skit in the description down below. All right, guys. I just wanted to highlight this. I saw this post from Joey and I was like, oh my God, I got to do a video about it. L. Ron Hubbard's message to black people, completely aside from the merit it has for the whites. It's just unbelievable. All right, guys, let's see. Some super chats here. Super anxiety trick. Hey, Aaron, thanks for doing what you do. Have you looked into the Church of Scientology in Belgium and the lawsuit of 2015? Super anxiety check. That does ring a bell. Did that have to do with whether they were going to pay taxes or not? I can't remember. If there's some link that you want me to take a look at specifically, shoot it to me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. Thank you very much. April Thomas says, I want a Goliath plushie. If I could figure out a way to do Goliath plushies through the Fourth Wall merch operation that I've got, I definitely would. So I'll look into it, April. If I can do it, I will. DP Never In. L. Ron Hubbard, originator of the word salad. Yep. Abigail, they probably have one of those plaques at the Washington, D.C. org too, since that's where the Nation of Islam members are. That's a good point. Janda Panda Treasures. Crazy words from a crazy man. Why is it appropriate now for the Church of Scientology to post this? That's what's incredible. So no one in Scientology looks at this message and is like, maybe we don't put it on the, maybe we don't put this up. Because also, doesn't it imply that like this org is just for black people? So, and also he says, if there's black centers for black people and the black people could use Scientology and other black people. I mean, I'm sorry. Are there no white people in Inglewood and Harlem? Because I know for a fact that there are. It's just so weird that Miscavige is like, I know what we'll do. We'll give them their own centers where they all live. It's so stupid. Andrew Humphrey, I wonder how many non-white Scientology members are in Toronto, the most diverse city in the world. Toronto is the most diverse city in the world? I never would have known that. But what do I know, guys? I grew up in a cult. In fact, I've never met a Scientologist in my life. Yeah, guys, generally speaking, around any major Scientology organization, you're not going to find more than 100 or 200 members within like even 100-mile radius. So now Toronto's interesting because that's also the location of the Continental Management Headquarters for Canada. So there's a Sea Org management unit in Toronto. There's also what they call a Class 5 organization that delivers the bottom non-confidential half of Scientology's bridge. But even then, there's not more than 200 Scientologists within 100 miles of Toronto is my estimate. John B. Did you watch Tommy Scoville when he was on the Matthew Cox YouTube channel? He told some of his story and it was pretty interesting. Tommy told me he was on the show, but I haven't watched it. But you know, I've spoken with Tommy a lot, but I don't have enough time to watch all of the videos that are out there. But anyway, if it's really good, John, if it's really good, I'll check it out. Let's see. Ideal Borg, a CO Bilf. This is Mr. David Miscavige. If I had friends, several of them would be black. Makes sense. David Miscavige, human trafficking cult honoring the hate group Nation of Islam and contradiction agent. All right, guys, just a short and sweet one. I guess not that short. We're 23 minutes into it. I got one or two other things I want to do this evening. Hopefully I can get to them. Thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. Thank you, as always, to everybody who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.